What's up, Go enthusiasts? Welcome to a special episode where we are covering the 1992 Ing Cup. Why cover the 1992 Ing Cup? I wasn't born yet. What's so special about it? Well, this is the first time that Rui Naiwei and Changho ever played. Why is that important? Changho, one of the best players of modern time. He was on top of the world for well over a decade, almost 2 decades, basically just the number one player. And Rui Naiwei, arguably the greatest female player of all time. The two greatest female players of all time are Rui Naiwei and Choi Jiang. I don't think that's arguable. But which one is better is arguable. I believe it's Choi Jiang. One of my Patreon supporters believe it is Rui Naiwei and suggested that I check out this game where Rui Naiwei defeats Li Changho, well, faces Li Changho for the first time, defeats Li Changho, and goes on to the semifinals of this world championship. This is the second Ing Cup. I called it the Olympics of Go. They're very special world championships held only once every 4 years. Reaching the semifinals is massive. In the semifinals, Rui Naiwei lost to Otaki Hideo, but to get there, she had to beat Li Changho. Let's take a look at this game. This is a best of one, so whoever wins this game moves on. This is the first time that Rui Naiwei and Li Changho ever played against each other. So it's going to be pretty interesting. I'm pretty sure Li Changho had already heard that Rui Naiwei is an aggressive player. If you don't know, Rui Naiwei is an aggressive player. She's one of the most aggressive players in modern times, at least to be at a very, very top level, top professional level. And they played, by the way, some interesting joseki back then in 1992. They'd mostly solved how the opening goes, but not in the sort of complicated joseki like this one. To be fair, I also don't know about this kind of stuff very much. But here, white just falls back, which is not really correct. Actually, I'll fall back to the beginning of this joseki and explain the modern understanding. Actually, this happens sometimes in modern day that you should pincer here. We never play the 3-3 anymore. We pincer or we play attach. After pincer and this, then this also happens to play the tiger like that. But these days, we all prefer to play like this and here. We can exchange this peep if there's the one space jump, and then we play here. And white saves with a nice corner and can later on look to cut from the center or to cut from the side and give up the 2 stones. Both are entirely possible. If black eats and makes a panuki, that's actually not that big since there's still a cut remaining. It's not that imposing. Back then, they thought you should hane, because this is the fighting move. And they believed that after this, any sort of ladder breaker, black is going to have to capture. And when black captures, then this becomes quite an over-concentrated, sort of slow-looking shape. Feels pretty painful as well to let white get some powerful attack on the left side or wherever the ladder breaker is. So that's why black chose not to capture in a ladder. Now, these days, we actually know better. We believe in capturing a ladder because AI showed us you should just continue to make ladder breakers outside. And you can gain more efficiency that way by never having to come back here and like taking the temporary initiative elsewhere. Actually, I saw a really snazzy AI variation here that I want to show you. So black plays this move as a ladder breaker. Then white wants to play a ladder breaker back, so they play here, trying to get some pressure on that 1 stone. Black wants to play a ladder breaker back, and they're like, well, if I play too low to the bottom side, it's not that important, so I play in the center again. And then white is like, well, now the bottom side can be important if you block it, so I'm going to break in with another ladder breaker. And then black's like, well, I should cover with another ladder breaker, and now still the center is important, so I'll block here. And then finally white comes back here. Very, very interesting variation where we have 2 elephant jumps in a row for both players. I would love to play this kind of game. This would be very cool. But unfortunately, that did not happen in the game. We just saw the descend here. And so from the AI's perspective, if the ladder is so important, then you should be playing like Atari and press here, make sure you can't get laddered and then come back to answer. But they just answered right away and black didn't take in the ladder anyway. So that's fine. So it goes. The game, the joseki understanding, it wasn't up to AI level without AI. That's normal. Anyway, the result of that joseki is still relatively even. It's just is that it was supposed to be good for black after white played the double hane, if black would make the ladder stuff, and now it's not good for black. It's not good for white either, it just is neutral. It would have been good for white if white had dominated the bottom side in some nice way before coming back to answer, but this is just fine. And so the fight goes on, and Li Changho dives in, he dives into the left side there and sort of invites Rui Naiwei to attack him. And he plays this jump. So he's like, hey, I'll save my stone. underneath, and Rui Naiwei is like, no, you won't. And so Li Chingho is like, okay, fine, I won't. But what I can still do is I can split you, and I'm going to be able to defend myself, obviously. I mean, Wei is not going to get surrounded here, and Black is not going to get surrounded either, but Black is going to have to run too. Black's territory is all gone. Black's only benefit that they can get from this is in some sort of initiative. So they have to keep jumping like this. It makes sense. But eventually they keep jumping, and it's a little too much, actually. This is a little bit loose play, can I say? Like, Black didn't actually need to play on this side right now, and Wei didn't need to play this jump. Like, this is a little bit disrespectful to the bottom side to just think, oh, I can jump and I can care about the top side and the right side and the bottom side all at once. In my opinion, the bottom side is clearly the most important, and yeah, Rui Naiwei disagrees. She thinks the right side is the most important. I think that's kind of unusual, unusual choice. But what she clearly intends is fight. Rui Naiwei is a very, very aggressive fighting player. And so the reason why she plays this fifth line move is not really because she believes, oh, the right side is the most important. It's objectively the best way to play over there. She's not like thinking like that. She just says, I'm going to make something that's a little bit too big so that if you come in, I can attack you if you already have a weak group. Because if you already have a weak group and I can get a second weak group to attack, that's going to be good for me. That's Rui Naiwei's plan. And Li Chingho is like, well, come on. Let's see it then. Because it's not that easy. I mean, Rui Naiwei's plan makes sense, but how do you actually like make a strong attack on the two sides here? Well, Rui Naiwei chooses to cap. It's understandable. And then Li Chingho plays attach and crosscut. He liked to do this a lot when he was younger. Li Chingho is approaching his prime at this point. He's not really at his full potential, in my opinion, in 1992. And so he played crosscut and then Atari and Tiger's Mouth. This was something that he enjoyed to play, but he didn't really do it right, to be honest. At this step, he played this Hane, and then Black answered, and then he played here, which just doesn't make, honestly, sense at all. Because if in general case, it could make sense if at this moment you were willing to tenuki. If you're like, oh, I Hane, so I get the eye space in the corner and I play away. But in this case, it wouldn't make sense to play away because Black could pincer like this, take the right side and attack you really hard, and it's not fun. So he's going to answer here anyway. Then you don't need to exchange this Hane in the corner. You can just play here, and it's going to be much stronger. Later you can play that move, that Hane, if you need to. But a lot of the time instead, we're going to be thinking about playing like a diagonal and just like, if you ever want to play on the top side, then this exchange hurts your chances a lot, giving this Black an extra stone, much less strong cut. The reason why Li Chingho is still okay with this is that Li Chingho is a very particular type of style, guys. If you have never seen a Li Chingho game before, he's a really nice player to watch if you want to learn how to care about territory. He played that Hane because he's like, okay, I take care of my group, I get more territory, you get less territory. You defend your cut, but it's not very big, right? I defend my cut, but it's bigger, I get more territory. So the exchange is good for me. That's what Li Chingho says. He's not correct, in my opinion, because you could take more initiative. Initiative matters as well. It matters a little bit more than territory. But you can continue to play like this because he's very, very good at finishing games with his territory advantage, at winning the game, finally, in the end. Anyway, Rui Naiwei continues to take an initiative. So she says, okay, this is the result that I wanted. I could split, I could attack that group on the right, and I can attack this group in the center. So now I have some power against the group on the right, I have some power against the group in the center. Let me take my initiative. And Li Chingho defends. And Rui Naiwei attacks. She's trying to cover her cutting point at the same time as she's doing this attacking. It makes sense. Try to make sure her groups are fine. And Li Chingho plays away. He plays away because this group is honestly not hard to live at all. It's very, very easy to take care of a group like this. It has so much space. It has space on the left side, it has space in the center, it has space to run to, it has space to run to, it has counterattacking potential. There is no problem. So Li Chingho says, come at me. I don't believe that you can attack this. It's important to do that against aggressive players at Rui Naiwei's level. If you just say, okay, Rui Naiwei, everything that you want to attack, I have to defend. Then she will look for things, and when you defend them, she'll get something else that's valuable. In the game, she plays on the top side. She's looking to get a lot of territory there. Because It's very important when you attack. If you go all in, your opponent can just answer the one time and then be done with it. It's better to attack by restricting and slowly keeping pressure, and in general building a game where your opponent has to fight back against you but can't, or has to fight back against, has to find some special way to get enough territory while they defend. That's hard, right? So that's the kind of pressure Rui Naiwei is trying to put Li Changho under. She says, okay, you took that territory move, but this territory move is so big, how can you match this? And Li Changho plays here. He's trying to start some counterattack and to show that the bottom side is small. Rui Naiwei plays Peep, and then here. So of course she's taking care of her stones, but she also has a devilish idea that Li Changho has to answer. Why does he have to answer? You can feel free to pause, think about it if you want. Well, if you would just play away, let's say on the bottom side, then Rui Naiwei has this Peep as well into a wedge. This means if White Ataris from the top side, both of these Peeps are prepared for a cut. And then White would have to defend two groups, so it would obviously be doomed. If Atari from this side, then again White could try to connect on either way, but because of that Tiger's Mouth, Black can start a very strong attack on this side or on this side. Either way, this is very strong. Very hard for White to handle. If Black didn't have this diagonal move, then White could allow that Black wedge, Atari, and like push through and make the counterattack on these three stones. It would be fine. After this, White needs to answer. They're very sharp. They may not be playing the most sharpest moves, but they're looking at them all the time, and if one would work, they would take it. But none of them have really worked yet, so we have a sort of calm game. Both players are trying to get the most territory that they can, as well as caring about this attack. And Black plays this diagonal move, so she's obviously looking to defend her stone on the bottom without losing control of the territory. White plays Tiger's Mouth and block here, looking to just be thick in the center. He recognizes that this center area could become Black's if he did not become thick there. And by playing like this, Black is needing to answer once to make sure that they don't suffer too much on the bottom side. Li Changho continues with this Atari. Here we see why Rui Naiwei has the advantageous matchup against Li Changho. One of Li Changho's favorite things to do is to do something a little bit too stable, but not that much too stable. It's like still gaining value, but you know, it didn't really need to be done to capture this stone. He just wanted to do it so that he wouldn't have an issue to worry about, and so that later he can go and chase the territory without regret. The downside to this sort of thing is you lose a little bit of initiative. You get a little bit too strong, and your opponent can go do something that's more valuable. In this case, when Black plays like this, White didn't really get an eye or anything, and Black got a little bit stronger on the top side. White said, hey, but I can use that extra stone they got to jump here. And Black said, well, you really want to come here? And Li Changho does this one. I talked about why this kind of move is good in my recent review of my own Chicago Open game, where Bowie played it. Black exchanging these two moves actually has caused White to lose some value. He was a little too over-defensive here, because Black can continue to answer on the top side, show that this area is very big, and that White didn't really gain as much as Black did just now. He got some extra stones, he's a bit stronger, but Black, Rui Naiwei, she has a much more solid grasp of this big territory. Actually, she could have even continued like this. This is a little bit better, to ask for even more, and to even more pressure. Wait, hey, how fine are you? Can you dive all the way in, make some really crazy Tetsujis, and get counterattacked in the center? It would be hard. At this moment, she was a little bit more passive than that, though, understandably. It's quite a thin shape. But Li Changho was still relaxed. He believed in the power of thickness having value. He believed, like, oh, if I just gain thickness with my weak group here, you won't be able to get as much value as I did. But is it really true? If your group is very strong already and you gain thickness with it, maybe you didn't actually change the situation that much. So when White plays here and controls the right side, yeah, White put the stone in the more important area for power, for initiative. Black put the stone in the more important area for territory. Right? So White has to show, hey, I gained enough power with this, that the territory benefit that you got, that's not as valuable. But he continues to defend himself. over and over and over again. And Rui Naiwei is like exploiting this. She's like, oh yeah, you want to defend? Add another move, add another move, add another move. This one was quite bad actually. When Li Changho played here, it was entirely unnecessary. If you would play a really, really big sequence, Atari and Connect here, is very, very strong, right? You would love to do that if you could. Well, you can. White can't cut this. White can press it a bit. White can continue to press this whole white. Black can continue to press this whole white group, but cannot really make any cuts. Cannot really kill this white group after this, because white has peeps, eyes here, potential room here, another potential eye here. It would probably be possible to make 3 eyes with that white group if really necessary. But Li Changho added another move. This is why Rui Naiwei is good against Li Changho. She's very good at applying pressure and being like, how strong do you want to be? And Li Changho is very bad at saying, I'm not strong. He loves to be thick and then to get the most territory and then win. He hates to not be thick. Other pros do a better job of allowing this kind of attack when it's not supposed to work. I think most other pros at Li Changho's level here would have played Atari and Connect like this and tried to punish Rui Naiwei, say, you can't really attack that hard. I dare you. But Li Changho doesn't. He doesn't try to punish like that. He tries to punish in the overall control of the territory situation. Which means he has to block here, has to connect here. And he has to find his timing later in the endgame to score his victories. He plays this peep. Black plays this attach. Black is looking into this white area, trying to reduce it as much as they can, because they recognize, hey, if I would just connect here, and white plays this block, I don't get to use the aji anymore. There is some potential that these kinds of sequences can work. But in this case, black cannot live this group locally. You can feel free to solve this Sumego on your own for this one. It's a fun one. But you can see that this white blocking is eliminating the potential cut out here. It's eliminating the aji that black has. So black is like, now is my time. I don't need to connect that because I'm not committed to attacking your white group anymore. Why? Because you defended it too much. So now I can take care of the territory situation again. Rui Naiwei is very good at attacking, but attacking not in an all-in way, but in a way to try to win the game normally. He plays this attach to fall back. She pushes through. And white pushes through like this. It becomes a pretty complicated situation. Black is pushing through, white is pushing through. And it's pretty unclear exactly where the most value is. Li Changho chooses to capture this 1 stone. He says, oh, if I eat that 1 stone, I can get some potential territory there. It was a mistake. Because black could turn, play on this side, and play away. She finally got to handle this Atari, this connect situation. And that's really quite painful for white. White would like to punish this black on the left side, but he can't really. He plays some other variation, and he just plays this Hane. This is significantly less strong than he could have played if instead of playing this Atari here first, he'd been a bit less shy and played the extend. The extend, okay, it doesn't take the territory right away over here, but it leaves a lot more potential power. So after this one, if black would also play away, then this kind of thing is much, much harsher, since if white can actually manage a cut, this black is much harder to run out into the center. Instead here, it was a little bit slow, just a tad bit slow, but it allows Rui Naiwei to take a lead in the game. With these exchanges, especially when she manages to stop white from making that very, very annoying Atari stuff, looking to keep pressure on the right side and on the bottom side, now that bottom side and the right side is her territory. It's all just potential territory. White exchanged these moves on the top side and then fade away, fade here. That was actually exactly right. Li Changho's endgame is, I mean, for me, that's unfathomable. I don't understand why you would exchange that and then come back here, but it was perfect. And Rui Naiwei was less perfect. She played this move, very sensible looking move. Tiger's Mouth, save your stone, force white to extend, otherwise they take the bad shape. And then you can go back to save on the left side. And yeah, you can link up and you can get some territory. It looks wonderful, but somehow her advantage is just sort of dwindling away when white can play this knight's move. The reason I think why the tiger's mouth is no good is that it lets white come into the bottom side area, which is actually the important area. Whether this one stone would be saved or not that important compared to how big the bottom side is. So this tiger's mouth allowing white to extend, that allowed white to dive in further, so it actually lost black territory in the end. She has to just answer. And black suffers so much for this kind of cutting point stuff. You have to answer. You can't let white strike back against your bottom side with those cuts as well. And then Li Changho very smartly doesn't even continue, but just plays on the top side. Because if you would play here, white allows black to play here, that's not a good exchange until you're sure that you actually care about this area more. And if black would cut anytime, you could make the Atari, so that doesn't make a good shape. So it's much better to just play away and take the big gote first. This capture is obviously so big. White, yeah, answers these black sente moves and plays his own hane. This is why that capture is so big. Now, if black blocks, it becomes some ko. Black could fight that ko, actually, according to AI, but humanly much more sensible to just extend back. Allow that. The game is still so close. It's been on a tightrope this whole time. Both players very reluctant to let the opponent take an advantage. This knight's move actually a little bit incorrect by Li Changho. It's a pressing move, so when Rui Naiwei answers, he actually gains a bit. He scammed a bit, but she shouldn't have answered. She should have cut here. Then even though Li Changho can push through here, that looks very big, this diagonal is black's sente. Otherwise, black pushes through and starts breaking the white shape. So when white has to answer, black could steal away the whole corner in return for white getting to break the bottom side here. That's a tough call, like which one is bigger. Since, I mean, this is a lot of bottom side territory that white is breaking, but that's a lot of corner territory that black is breaking. So it turned out that black was a bit bigger by like a point or two. That's, humanly, it's very hard to calculate. So this answer, totally understandable by Rui Naiwei, but Li Changho was happy to get that exchange and then to play back to the corner. Now we have this diagonal move. We're heading into an endgame. So black played that hane and is blocking, and black is clearly intent on using the corner to get a little bit more territory here as they block the right side. The right side seems to be the biggest source of territory remaining. I mean, a little bit on the top side, but it makes sense. Li Changho continued to just try to break the right side after this. The thing is, Rui Naiwei had a trick. She was not just planning what Li Changho thought that she was planning. Actually, if she plays the simple way, the understandable way, Li Changho will win by half a point. Whether that was calculated or not, I can't exactly know, but I suspect M19 is just gaining enough that Li Changho feels that he's comfortable in the game if black answers. I suspect that Li Changho is like counting to that precision, because that's his main skill set. What's not his main skill set is defending Rui Naiwei's attacks. She played this push that may look innocent. It is not innocent. That push is anything but innocent. She played this move. What is that? White can just answer and gain by territory. So now white was going to play t3 anyway, but t4 is in white's eye space. Okay, maybe white will have to connect this eventually anyway. So it doesn't exactly lose anything. But it could lose something if like something changes. Like normally we don't make such an exchange. It's quite crude. Why did you do that? Well, she had a plan. A very nice plan. Attach. What Li Changho, I'm sure, expected was that the diagonal was to play this hane. Everyone knows that the diagonal is to play the hane. Then he was going to back off like this. If black goes in now, then white can play here, and if black plays here, white can do this one, and if black plays here, white can do this one. And this is seki. Seki is completely fine. Completely fine. In fact, probably black would prefer to take sente, because it would be gote to take the seki. Black would probably prefer to take sente, give white 4 points, and continue on without like losing the cutting control or anything like that. Instead, attach here. The meaning is I already pushed at n18. So if you play here, then I will play here. And then the best way for you to continue to play is only ko. You're dead in ko. So you should hane. Because this way, you're still dead in ko. But when I when white wins the ko, white gets more territory this way. So this is the best ko, but just overall, this attachment could kill white in ko. Very riskily, but it does it, right? It was very, very harsh of Rui Naiwei. Rui Naiwei, upon seeing this answer, she set up a ko threat because she realized, oh, this ko is going to be very big. Then I can't just use this move as a ko threat because white will ignore. I have to ask at c18 first. If white would fall back, white would lose on territory in the endgame. So white has to descend, it felt like. And then black could play here. Now the ko begins with black having a million ko threats on the left side. White has ko threats of his own. White is looking to capture the 3 stones to save the group, even though black can capture the corner. That would be big enough. So if white can save the group anyway by breaking some bottom side territory, it would be good. So white plays some local ko threats, but black is playing ko threats too. And eventually black plays here. What was the point of the t4 ko threat? It was to make sure that white was more dead. Sorry, t4 was not a ko threat. The t4 was before the ko. What was the point of the t4 exchange? White should be more dead. I break the I space, or the I shape. Sorry, not the I space, the I shape. I break the I shape before the ko, so that when I play ko threats to kill you, it's real. It's serious. Li Changho played here because he realized I have to try to save this area with the most territory. Because I'm going to lose. He played here. He thought this is my biggest source of ko threats next, but black could play here. And then white tarried and captured, but black could still save something. So the whole white bottom right is dead, and black didn't even really die in the center. Just a little bit of death. No big deal. So the game is over. Li Changho resigns. Rui Naiwei won. Her attacking in the endgame won the game. What went wrong for Li Changho? Well, actually, there's a few things, but nothing that would clearly win the game. Rui Naiwei was just doing things correctly, actually. And so even from the beginning here, this innocent-looking push, just live. You don't want to accept a ko. Actually, when you answer, you're dead in ko, right? Like, it looked like diagonal, I'll still be able to live no matter, but you answer that, you're dead in ko, so just live. Then black could play here, yeah, that's big, but you have other moves that are big too. You can play from this side, and, you know, etc. Elsewhere on the board. That game would be very close, it would be half pointer. After this, here, this is reasonable. White should play here. This is not as good at the endgame later, since black gets this move in Sente still. So not as much territory, but when you play here, there's significantly less ko threats for black, and less good shape with the ko threats, as white can block here. This is a common trick, actually. Li Changho knew about this, he just chose not to play it, because he wanted more territory by playing the block like this. That was incorrect, as you saw, as Li Changho couldn't muster up enough ko threats, even with all of his local ko threats on the bottom side, to keep the ko going. And finally here, really, really interesting thing with the last ko threat answer. This one, it was actually incorrect because, yeah, white has, what was it? Oh, white has one more ko threat here, and then when you capture back, black has only 2 areas of ko threats, here and here. So if black captures these 3 stones, Rui Naiwei wasn't doing that as her ko threat because she thought it's not clearly big enough. Black would win the game, but it would be close, so it would be tight margin. Better for black to try to push through over here. This looks very threatening. So Li Changho thought, oh, if I play like this, and it seems like white is going to die on the right side. However, there were some tricks abound. When white plays this tiger's mouth, black cannot cut. as white would connect here, and then be able to connect his group to the bottom right. That would be able to then race these 3 stones and kill these 3 stones. So black block is not possible. Black has to play from this side, and white could save part of his group on the right side. So this game would continue with a very small lead for black. This is, I think, still a fightable endgame. But yeah, Li Changho was not thinking about how do I play so that I can ignore the next co-threat here when the next co-threat looks that powerful. He thought just how do I play for the most territory? And in doing so, he was too inflexible. From this point, it's unsavable. The game is just lost. There was no way for him to get enough compensation for the ko. And Rui Naiwei wins by resignation. I mean, a big victory. This is how Rui Naiwei beats Li Changho. Why she has a good record against the #1 player of the time, while in her prime and while he's in his prime. Does this mean that she's the greatest female player of all time? I'm still unconvinced. I think Choi Zhang is better, is greater. But don't let that fool you. Rui Naiwei, monster. Absolute monster in her own right. I just feel that the other pros, other than Li Changho, they understood how to defeat the way that she played a little better, and that's why her results were not as good as a positive record against the #1 player of the time would indicate. Nonetheless, way better than I'll ever be. Obviously, there's no way for me to get as good as Rui Naiwei in my life, but that's okay. What a great game! What a great ko! Very, very nice showing of how to sort of slowly attack in a game. You don't attack incessantly, you attack while also making sure that the rest of the game is also winnable if your opponent can handle the attack, and you use that as your weapon at the same time as you're using actual attacks as your weapon, right? Like Rui Naiwei in the center group was sort of fake attacking, and the bottom right group was real attacking. It's very hard to tell the difference as the defending player until you actually see it play out in the game. And Li Changho got. Very nice game. To see you guys again next time.